So I would like to welcome everyone to our product showcase presentation, Designing a Fire-Resistant Wall System. It's organized by New York Passive House and presented by Partel. I would like to thank Partel for being such a great sponsor and supporter of New York Passive House over the years. And I'm excited to have you guys here showcasing your product. We will record the session and make that recording available on our website, nypassivehouse.org, where you could also see other recordings and, of course, join us and support our efforts like today. It's my pleasure to introduce Jose Sosa, who is our events volunteer, and will introduce today's presenters.
Thanks, Andreas. Hello, everyone. It is our pleasure to welcome Hugh Wiersky again, Technical Director and Founder at Partel. Hugh is going to present an integrated and technical approach for maximizing the fire safety in the building structure, especially in high rises and high-risk buildings. He will introduce the new Partel Isoperm Plus product system for the internal walls, a new generation of vapor control membrane, and adhesive tape for increased fire safety in buildings. With that, I'll leave the virtual space to Hugh and the Partel team.
Great, thank you, Jose. Thanks, Andreas, and to New York Passive House for hosting today. So, yeah, as we, I suppose, as introduced, we're going to look at designing a fire-resistant wall with the Isoperm Plus F4 system. My name is Hugh Wiersky. As Jose said, I'm the director and founder at Partel. I am a certified Passive House designer and an engineer. So I guess that feeds into how we do things in Partel. We are an Irish company, but with a global presence. We operate in North America, UK, Europe, a number of different countries, but yeah, also active obviously in Ireland. We are founded by architects and engineers, always have a really, really strong focus on the building physics approach. After that, it's the manufacturing and distribution side of things for the high performance sector. And always we try to be sure we can understand and appreciate the reasons why products are being specified, or the queries on the construction site, or also from the architect. R&D is a huge part of what we do, and really that's kind of what has driven the changes for varied and more complicated procedures in terms of fire, and maybe how we can bring fire and air tightness and vapor control layers all together. So kind of before we get into fire, we want to, I suppose, maybe confirm that we're still always looking at why we build airtight. It's a cornerstone kind of everything that we do. So, and this membrane and the system is very much part of that. So we want to lower energy costs. We want to be sure we can improve the overall comfort levels of the building for the final occupants. We also want to be part of the indoor air quality management system, and we know that the correct control of vapor can really help with mold, pollutants into the property, harmful VOCs, PM 2.5 and 10. Lastly, the control of vapor is critical in terms of structural integrity of the final building. So why fire? Why have we kind of looked down this route? The figures for fire, and we're looking at the US only, there is one fire every 65 seconds in structures. 500,000 in total of all fires relate to structures, 37% of all fires. It's 80% of all deaths. Enormous collateral damage. And I suppose the biggest thing about fire is the impact, or the amount or volume of fire that we've had since 2008 hasn't changed. So there was huge progress until 2008, and kind of for the last 12 years or so, it's been stable. So we really think there's ways that can improve. Something that kind of, I guess, maybe most people are already aware of is the Grenfell Tower fire, and it's a really terrible story, but it's important to know about it and important to take lessons from it. It happened in June 2017. There were 77 deaths. Essentially, you can kind of see what's happening in the pictures, but after the initial fire, the fire spread behind the rain screen. From bottom to top of the entire building in 15 minutes. The people in the building were told to remain in their flats as the fire partitions should have protected them and offered them adequate fire protection to be evacuated. 30 minutes after the rapid spread, most of the trapped residents were already dead. Um, the cladding and insulation system used in the Grenfell Tower was a type of a standard, or basically a standard in the UK and many other countries. It was generally presented as something that had quite good fire resistance. Um, and yeah, this type of system is in a huge number of buildings worldwide. There are and were serious issues with how products were specified based on, I suppose, ill-presented data from some manufacturers, and it's now the subject of a long-running criminal inquiry. And kind of what's coming out from that inquiry is, like I say, interesting in terms of how we might change things in the future about transparency. But basically, the findings show that there were certain test results achieved, maybe somewhat debatable results, but essentially they were offered into the construction space in a place they shouldn't have been. So um, we're even aware of it now since then, that there are some products on the market that claim a certain standard, but they might have tested using something non-combustible in the front of the product, which is pretty much what happened in Grenfell. They then state that that figure, the product is non-combustible, but if we look closer into their data, we will see the true figures. So we need to ask for the certificates, the actual fire tests, so we can have a true understanding of the actual rating of the products. In Partel, we've taken a decision to develop a number of high performance products that can actively help to manage the fire, but also be integrated into the low energy building system. I suppose we're very much open and transparent about our testing, and something we're very happy to share on request. So on fire and safety engineering, I guess it's a separate field. For sure, it integrates with other areas, but it's really the science and engineering principles and how we use them to protect people and their environments from the destructive efforts of fire and smoke. So we have kind of, I guess, the fire safety engineering. We then have our regulations and classifications, and there's two routes towards compliance. We have prescriptive design or analytical design, which is essentially performance-based. In prescriptive fire safety design, there are regulations which detail and specify the design and classification of building components. They will, for some applications, exclude the use of products containing combustible materials which don't conform to the required fire rating. This method can be expensive and could also have building performance limitations. The analytical performance is based on allowing the building contractor or the architect to choose an appropriate design method to accomplish fire protection. But the typical idea for this type of one is that it's a designed and tested and validated system. The product that we're going to be looking today, or the products, Isoprene Plus, F4 and Duro, can both form part of system enclosures or as prescriptive products, really in both spaces. So overall on fire, we need to be sure that we consider the structural fire safety. It needs a holistic technical approach, really to help prevent the start of the fire, then to contain and to extinguish. So today we're launching, and really excited about this. It's been quite some time in development. It's Isoprene Plus F4. It has the system class A2, and I'm going to explain in more detail what I suppose all of the relevant testing means. It is a non-combustible product. It's based on a new innovation using an aluminium, a lacquered aluminium laminated with a strong glass fiber. It's compliant with fire safety regulations, and I suppose while it can be used in high-rise buildings, it's quite open in the different types of buildings it applies to. As with most of the Partel products, it's a system. We're not just giving one product. So here we're looking at the membrane itself. It's supplied in a 1.5 meter dimension, but yeah, it's very much part of a system accompanied tape, and we've got nice clear details on how we should use the product. The application of the product is for roof, walls, ceilings, or floors. It's equally for commercial and residential, works with all insulation types, and is, I suppose, most interestingly suitable for all building heights. But we know that there's a higher demand in the high-rise section. In terms of how the product, how it works, or what it can do, it has got a essentially vapor closed. It's vapor tight, and it has to be to do the, I suppose, do the other things that we want. It's a surface burning class A, but again, I'll kind of show in more detail why the class A2 Euro codes could be a little bit more interesting. It does contribute towards better ore values because it has an incredibly low emissivity, less than 0.05. The associated part for this product is the EcoSeal Alu FO adhesive tape. That's tested in an open and transparent way as well, and it also forms part of the A2 system. That allows for 10% of the overall system to be, I suppose, to be the actual tape. So that can allow us to connect walls to ceilings to floors around windows and doors. The product itself has excellent aging resistance, and the design life is really a lifetime. It really doesn't age. So it's a new product for us, and it's also our longest warranty. It's a full 20-year system warranty. There is a second product for this range. It's Exoperm Monoduro. It's been in our range for maybe 1 year already, but it's a really interesting product. It is class B1, but absolutely vapor open. So it's the ideal product to be used on the exterior of the building. It's got some other qualities, and you'll see it in its in the underside, but it has incredible UV resistance. This product can be used in partly open facades. The warranty covers, at least 10 years on that. But really, we expect this product to have a lifespan, 70, 80, 90 years. Just a little slide on kind of how this product is made. This is more to show you the difference between a monolithic and a microporous product. It doesn't actually relate to Duro. It's really a two-layer product. But the technology we use in all of our products is based on the monolithic technology. It means that the water vapor or the breathability of the product is achieved in a molecular level. The water vapor doesn't pass through pores like it does in lower cost products. It transfers or is absorbed into the fleece and passed through the membrane actually quite quickly. So they're a more stable type of product. We can expect them to have much longer lifespans. And overall, I suppose when we look at the carbon effects of buildings, it really makes sense to invest in the exterior membranes. I want to take a look at the testing and standards of the airtightness systems and kind of what we should be aware of. In the US, we're looking at the Steiner tunnel used in ASTM E84 for flame spread. We've got 3 classes in this, and I guess kind of what's interesting for us is most of our membranes fit into class A. Whereas if we look into the Euro codes, it's a more varied, if you like, a different type of test with similarities, but more classes. So the product we're looking at today is tested to, it's an EN standard 13501. There is also, in the same way as there, I suppose, the fire safety engineering section that we spoke about, there's a performance-based one as well. That's BS 8414, and that's an 8-meter high large-scale test, which is designed to test completed construction, so full assemblies. But today we're looking at the product itself. There's 7 main classes, as you can see from the slide. Class A1 and A2 are, I suppose, non-combustible, and class B through F is approached in a different way. The class B standard, which Duro falls into, it represents materials that don't give a flashover. Essentially, that means that the product doesn't contribute to the fire or is extremely limited in what it does. So it won't take a flame, it'll self-extinguish. Class C through E and F or through E can give a flashover, so they can contribute to the fire. The way the products are tested, there is a slide there that actually shows how the class A1 and A2 products are tested, but because they're non-combustible, um, the actual calculation for these, it's based on the calorific value. So initially we know that if the product essentially can't burn in certain standards, it can fit into that standard. We have quite a nice slide here, which will give us a short idea on kind of how each of these products, how they work. So we're going to, just one second. Sorry about that. So yeah, first we see all three membranes running at the same time. So we've got the class E, the one that's easier to ignite. You can see really quickly what happens to that. It isn't actually on a flame, but you can see how it performs. It falls apart, there's droplets, whereas the Duro product is really disappearing more so than whereas the I suppose the lower cost class E products, you can see clearly how it would be a contribution to the fire. All the time, isoprene plus F4 doesn't change. It can withstand incredibly high temperatures because it's based on aluminium. So really we don't expect any change to this product in this type of situation. So kind of how do we use the products? Where do they fit? I want to give a little bit of information on that. We have tested all of the products using Woofy, and we have quite a substantial database of detailed drawings on where they might fit. So using this as a, I guess, as a typical commercial project, you could have your facade cladding or cladding here, whatever that might be. We have the, sorry, one second. We have the isoprene plus F4 on the interior and the Duro product on the exterior. You can see another type of project here, slight variations, but the same principle, the isoprene plus F4 on the warm side of the insulation and Duro on the outside. In a typical residential situation, we would have our siding, an air gap, the product Duro and the isoprene plus F4 on the inside. To install a product like that, we really would be looking at a nice application video. You'll see these for all of our products online. I'm just going to leave that run for a couple of seconds. So we won't see the whole video, but just to give you an idea of kind of the system as a whole. And this is an interesting slide. It's actually the same build-up that we looked at with the cellulose in the middle and the Exoper Monoduro on the outside and the isoprene plus F4 internally. What you're looking at here is a video of what happens in Woofy when we try to assess the build-up. If you like, for safety over time, we can actually see what's happening with the water content and the temperature in all parts of the construction individually. So we have the, I suppose, a cement board on the outside, the cavity, there's an exterior sheeting board and the cellulose itself. We do get an output, if you like, a result on the overall building, and you can see the main area for focus is the cellulose insulation. So it's programmed to start with a high moisture content, about 16%, but we can see really quickly that it dries out in the first summer and averages out at about 10% with peaks of 13%. So quite a safe buildup using the isotherm F4 system. If we looked at a humid climate, which is a pretty common question we get, we can reverse the entire buildup. The isotherm plus F4 changes to the outside and Duro to the inside. And again, it's a really safe build-up. So I suppose the idea with these slides is to show you that it can be a safe approach, but feel free to reach out and ask some questions if you want to, I suppose, a particular build-up modeled in Woofy. So in terms of the product, where it's available, it's direct distribution from Partel, wherever we're selling. It is available now. You can buy it online or through contact with us directly. There's a number of other systems that we'd be happy to go through with you at any time. So that could be from the Vara Smart Airtight System. It's a complete product range with the intelligent or variable membranes, tapes, and fluid applied products. The variable technology is a key feature for all of our products, and like I say, it carries through all of those products, but it really offers significant protection in winter and drying out in the summer, so it can enhance the overall safety of most constructions. There is a smart pre-compressed tape, ConPreSeal 3V BG1. This product also carries the, I suppose, the variable function. It has integrated 3 layers of air and wind tightness, so it's actually protected from the outside and the inside, and can also be supplied in a fire-rated version. The range goes much further. There's lots of tapes, flexible sealants, cable grommets, and applicator assistance. And I guess we also are quite focused on thermal bridging products. So products like Almavert is a really, really interesting product. Again, it's fire treated, but a really key component in the markets where we're working in to improve those structural connections. So underneath windows and doors, it's a really sensible component. I guess just a note on testing, it's a different type of range and actually a different type of adhesive we've used in the fire rated system. But again, we're carrying out a huge amount of internal and external testing on the performance of those products. In terms of a few projects that we have already worked on, this is a project in Ireland. It's quite a different project. It's one of 20 completely suspended buildings worldwide. It means it's constructed with a large concrete core, and each floor is completely hung from that core. It's due to be finished later this year. Main tenants are WeWork and AM Trust, and it's using the full Partel fire-rated system. We have seen the products already used in the healthcare system as well, where people look to, I suppose, improve the durability and also the fire rating of the external systems. And this is a very recent new build residential project, again, where they chose the Duro products. One of the reasons, or one of the other reasons they chose that product was because they had open siding or visible. It meant the membrane would be visible over time, and Duro is one of the only products with that level of UV stability. So overall, kind of what you can expect from Partel is always a system from all parts, from inside to outside, so all parts considered. It's an insurance-backed product warranty. We carry design indemnity for the, I suppose, for the advice and design side of things. Significant external testing, and we're always working with external notified bodies and institutes to validate, I guess, what we already know. Our internal testing is continually growing, and we're, I suppose, always adding new features, but it's a substantial internal laboratory where we can carry out most adhesion, strength, breathability, pretty much everything related to our own products. Like we mentioned in the presentation, the Woofy condensation is available on demand, and we can also do specialized CPDs or trainings, U values or R value calculations. So thanks for listening today. I'd be happy to take any Q&A afterwards.
So we have a couple of questions. The first one is from Justin Taylor. Do you have a list UL assemblies where your products might be used in?
Not right now. I mean, we can work through any of the assemblies, but really, I'd be open to discussing that with him. We know where the product itself will fit, and it has its standard testing. So we could certainly talk to him about that, how each one would, how it would work in those assemblies.
Then another one from Jay Connolly. Do you have any samples we can look at?
Yeah, absolutely, Jay. If you want to send through a quick email to us afterwards, we will definitely send on a nice sample pack, including maybe all of the other products as well.
And we can send out your contact info with the next email, and then
Yeah,
can,
great.
connect.
Great.
And one more from Claudia Fay. Apologies if I missed it explained, but what is the membrane made from?
Yeah, it's made with a pure aluminium, glass fiber, and a lacquer. So it's kind of produced in a similar way to the way we produce a lot of the other products, but the aluminium is a key component for the fire rating.
So what's the? I'm pretty sure you mentioned it, but what's perm rating on that membrane?
It's absolutely closed. Yeah, it has to
Closed.
be.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I guess it's really something we need to check with the build-up, but we are the Duro product, the exterior one is quite open. The perm rating I can't think off the top of my head, but it's vapor open.
Mm-hmm.
So really it's a system kind of from inside to outside.
Mm-hmm. So in a cork line like in New York, you would probably recommend to have that on the warm side or the interior side of your wall.
Exactly. Yeah. We did model I guess the Florida one just to have that alternative, and yeah, you reverse it in that case.
Mm-hmm. Did you guys model it with other insulation materials like mirror wool or something like?
Yeah, we've tested it with most, and yeah, it's quite compatible, and Andres, so really open for. I would say generally all of our products are insulation neutral, so
Mm-hmm.
we do need to check normally, but yeah, for sure, cellulose performs very well, and it's an interesting product for vapor control or vapor management. But I'm sure for rock wool, some of the other non-combustible products, it works really well with that.
The Alma Vert is good for door thresholds as well as windows.
Yeah, definitely, Justin. It's a problem area in a lot of low energy builds that it's kind of hard to get something for exactly that application. So yeah, that really is its main application. So we see it underneath door thresholds first, and depending on the type of construction, it's a really, really good fit for windows as well.
I have a question that I just thought about now. Do you think that's going to interfere with cellular or Wi-Fi, wavelengths? Like it's
It's a
going to
good
interfere with
question.
wireless
Yeah,
communication.
it's not good at passing through. So cellular will most likely be affected. Yeah. And with any of the foil products, it does affect it a little. It depends, Jose. If you were in a room with just that, no windows, no openings, um, probably you get some peace, I would say. But generally, yeah, through the other openings, you were still getting cellular. So maybe you'd have to stand in a different place, but internally it wouldn't make any difference in terms of Wi-Fi, things like that.
But otherwise, thanks you for the presentation.
Thanks, Andreas.
So anyone who has a question wants to ask directly, you can unmute yourself now.
I should say to Justin, I guess when I think about it, the Almavert product, it's a completely recycled product. It's produced from plastic bottles, so a really, really nice ecological product as well.
How does it look like with the embedded carbon in that aluminum foil? How thick is that?
Yeah, we will produce an EPD with that, Andreas. So fire is tricky, but I guess generally the membranes are quite a low part of the overall embodied carbon of a building, and to produce something in a natural way that gives us that kind of non-combustible fire rating really isn't possible. So after that, we try to be sure that the products, if produced in that way, have maximum lifespan. So we're looking really at that lifetime aging. So yeah, they can really contribute still in a positive way like that.
But I would assume that layer, the aluminum layer, is fairly thin, right? It's
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, correct.
Yeah, and that and the fiberglass gives it the rigidity.
Yeah,
Or strength. right?
That's it exactly. Yeah, it's a very strong product. So the fiberglass does that, but it is also a binder for the aluminium.
Can you fold it, or what happens if you fold it a couple of times?
Yeah, it's not bad like that. It's quite easy to work with. You kind of see from the installs, it doesn't stay absolutely true and crisp, and that's basically part of the application or a feature of the product. But yeah, there's no issue with that. I see Hillary is asking about lead times to the US. The product is in stock already in the US, so in the tri-state area, you probably next day or 2 days, something like that.
What's the rough cost per square foot, or I don't know?
Um, I've always been poor, Andreas, at recalling figures from the top of my head. So it's definitely online. $450. I've just been told per roll. So that's
Oh.
about 800 square foot.
Mhm.
And what about the flexibility? That's a question, like the tear resistance, I guess.
Tear
That's another question
resistance is
here.
incredible, yeah, because of the glass fiber that we use with it, it's incredibly strong, so quite hard to tear. Um, the it's a Newton figure, so it's 170, 150 Newton. So quite a tough product in terms of how it can be used on site.
Mhm. What about if someone puts a screw, since you put it in on the inside, right, of your wall assembly,
Yeah,
and you put a lot of screws through it? Is it self-sealing somehow, like the other
it's
membrane?
not like those. No, there isn't really a polymer as part of it, so we can over tape if there's a lot of those screws, but it is normal that it's applied with staples initially.
A lead time, I guess, that you mentioned before. And did you obtain a UL approval for New York City Department of Buildings OTCR approval?
No, it doesn't have those yet. We're happy to share the testing that it does have, and we know the classification it fits in ASTM 84, but in terms of UL or NYC not yet.
Would you, are you trying to get those listings, or?
Yeah, we're always looking at that, Andres. So kind of for now, I would say for the next few months, it will remain with the European testing, which we know to be quite stringent, open and transparent. So yeah, we're open to working with people on those to see what they need in terms of projects, and always kind of happy to find a way to support.
Thanks again, and we'll post that recording then on our website shortly.
Great, thank you. Thanks all.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.